I'm here with Erica DuBois, who has been nominated Teacher of the Year by her colleagues at the Ali Culberth PS14. Congratulations.
Thank you
It's
so
a
much.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today. So tell me, did you always want to be a teacher?
I actually believe I always wanted to be a teacher. When I was a kid, my mom struggled with some mental health stuff and addiction and things. She was wonderful, but there was a lot there. And my teachers, I just remember being such a welcoming group of people when I was growing up in Union, and I had such a great relationship with a lot of them. Even to this day, with social media, I still keep in touch with a few, and I just wanted to be able to be that person for others, I think. I know it sounds cliche, but I definitely think looking back now that that's exactly why I went into what I did.
Yeah. Was there a special teacher who made such a difference?
There were a few, and I still talk to them, and they might see this, so I don't want to pick one and have them like pick, because they still, a lot of them still work there. But I will say there was Miss Erdman when I was little in third grade. Then I had Miss Martinez and definitely Miss Ford in high school, who I still talk to today, and they're just like, they're wonderful, and they're people I could speak to even now about teaching, and it's just great to still be able to connect to them. I think that's why our jobs are so different than most jobs, the connections you make and how you can impact the lives of a lot of people. You may not connect with everybody, but the ones you do, it could be like for a lifetime. It's pretty awesome.
Could be life-changing.
Yeah,
it could
for us too.
Yes, it is. So how do you connect with your students?
I think where I lack in structure and discipline, sometimes I make up for my connecting with kids. I just, like I said, my childhood had its ups and downs, and I've always connected to kids because of that. And I always feel like I want to be that adult in their lives, because you don't know which kids have that adult or don't. But if you give them that adult that is open, that sees them, that takes the time to really listen to them, you never know what you might be doing for them. You might be changing something that you don't even realize. And when you get to run into students years later when they were young adults and they remember you, it's like, it's just a feeling that most jobs don't have. And I just love being that person. I'm still like a big kid at times. I'm loud, I dance around, I say silly things. And I think a lot of kids, especially since I teach kindergarten, I've taught kindergarten, first grade, and fifth grade, but the younger ones, they haven't had a lot of school experience. So sometimes when they meet me, they're like, oh, this is kind of fun. And I always tell their parents, I want to make it so they want to come back to school. That's my number one goal in kindergarten, because a lot of kids struggle with the idea of school, no matter where they live or what school they're at. And I want to make sure that that's not a struggle my students have. I want them to be happy to come in every day because they want to hang out, they want to see me, they want to engage and all that. And I think that's something that I do, and I'm proud of that.
So you want them to fall in love with
exactly.
school.
Exactly. Just being in school, learning. And I'm a big proponent of social emotional learning, even before it was really a thing, just because of my experiences growing up. And I'm a big proponent on communication. I think a lot of what we lack in society, in every aspect of life, is just lack of communication. And if you can teach kids when they're young how to communicate better, I think that'll set the foundation for them moving on, no matter what they decide to do in life.
So how do you incorporate that into your lessons and into your class?
I think oftentimes when kids make a mistake, let's say in a lesson, I always say, but we learn from our mistakes. Like, I take the time to point things out that you might just take for granted, that when we were growing up, maybe people didn't say to us, it was just assumed. So when kids make mistakes, I make it a point to know you can make mistakes, but you're going to learn from them. We talk every morning, we say we're going to try our best. We do affirmations in the morning. I make mistakes, and I point out that even adults make mistakes, because, growing up, there were adults and there were kids, and there were adult conversations, it was like stay in your lane type of thing. And I'm not that kind of person. I'm not saying you talk to kids about everything, but I feel like when kids ask questions, if you can, you take time to answer them. You don't just say because I said so. I'm not a big proponent. I know a lot of people do that, and sometimes I'm an oversharer. Maybe I talk too much with kids or whatever, but I believe in making sure they feel heard, and in turn, hopefully they'll treat others like that. I think you have to model. I don't think you can rule with an iron fist. I think if you model enough, you'll see it in your kids, in your students, your kids at home, my kids at home. I'm very involved in my community with young people, and I think if you model, you'll get, more often than not, you're going to get results.
So What are you said kindergarten.
Kindergarten currently.
So in terms of academics, what is a priority for you?
Oh, well, it's interesting in kindergarten because kids in every grade learn at a different rate, but I think the younger ones especially. And I try to tell parents, listen, all these kids in here didn't start walking at the same time. They're not all going to start reading at the same time. You know, don't be thrown by so-and-so's doing this and my kid's not doing this. We want to see progress. My biggest thing is progress every marking period and making sure that kids are accountable for their work. And I have a teacher's assistant, Ms. Haynes, who is wonderful. We're such a good team. And she's very good at making sure, like myself, that kids are proud of their work, they're accountable for their work. And for the first time in a long time, I have a classroom of kids who we don't have to stay on anybody to complete their work. Maybe it's not done correctly, but they're all trying. And we want to see effort. Like, we want to encourage effort, because if you have effort, I think kids can learn anything. But if they shut down right away, it's really hard to pull them back. So we want to make sure that shutdown doesn't happen, because that becomes more challenging.
So you talked about your teachers. What would you ask parents to ensure that students come to school with?
I think it's really hard for parents today. I mean, I'm a parent myself. I have a 20-year-old and a 13-year-old. So I know that parents are pulled in a million different directions, but I think if they reinforce the importance of school in a positive way, if they talk to their kids about learning when they're young, like the previous interviewee said, make everything a learning experience at home. You know, like if you're cooking, if you're walking on a sidewalk, count the cracks on the sidewalk, you know, things like that. Then when they come to school, they will feel more confident, and it'll be easier for them to pick up the material. I think a lot of where kids struggle is just lack of confidence. It might present itself as negative behavior, but if you think about the why, it's because of the lack of confidence. So if you build that confidence as they're coming in, I think it makes it easier for them to learn.
Is there a message you would like to share with our community in terms of investing in our children and ensuring their success? How can our community, and I mean all stakeholders, work together to ensure our children's future?
First, I want to thank the community, because I've been working in the district for 26 years, and I've made so many connections in my school community, in the neighborhood. I'm involved in politics outside of here. I was the mayor of my town, and I was on the township committee, so I've met people through those channels as well. And I've always been so incredibly welcomed. The people who live in our neighborhood, every morning, walking in, everybody's so nice, we speak, we talk, and that is really important, because if I feel connected, and I'm only here part of the year, if we build that around our kids and they feel welcome and feel part of a community, it's going to help them with their education. Because again, when kids feel safe, when kids feel calm, when kids feel welcome and heard, it makes everything better. So when people get involved in their community, I know we have a mom in my class who runs Jump for Jerry, and she builds this whole big community organization to get kids involved in something positive and work on their education. And I see that growing. I'm like so taken aback by how beautiful that is. And when I see community members, either where I live or here, I just love to see people giving back to the young people, because when they see adults, not every child has an adult at home, unfortunately, that they feel they can turn to, that they can communicate with. That's just the truth. Some do, some don't. But if you're that person in the community and a kid feels safe, I still believe it takes a village. And we need that village to be really strong, especially now. There's a lot of easily accessible negative influences online and things, and we need community members that are willing to be that face of positive influence on our kids. And I think there are people out there doing it, and I really appreciate them. And if they can encourage more adults and they want to encourage us, I'm all for it. Let's bring it all to the table and let's get together and help these kids be the best they can be.
Thank you. It's obvious you love your job.
Oh, I love my job. I love my kids. Oh, they keep me young. I won't even say my age, but I don't feel my age because of them. So
No, it is obvious. Thank you so much. And you are definitely a spokesperson for our young people and for our career. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you as well. You're a great role model for young women, and I appreciate you being in the position you're in, and it's wonderful to see. So great job.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I truly appreciate it. Thank you.